Welcome to I'm From the Internet, a podcast about the internet, its users, and their consequences. I am disgraced comedian Winslow Dumaine, sitting here with internet historian Jay Brandstetter. Jay, how have you been in the last 2 minutes?
I was kind of thinking, like, when you were growing up, did you ever have a video game that you really wanted to play, but your parents wouldn't let you, and you had to, like, convince them that it wasn't that bad?
My mom was pretty lenient. She was questionable about Silent Hill 2 when I was trying to get it, because I didn't have money for a PS2, so I bought the PC version a million years ago. And we tried to install it, but there's no way that it would run, because this was before we understood that, like, you needed a video game, like a GPU, in your computer to, like, run any 3D games. So there was that, and then I remember, like, she had some sort of bone to pick with, I think it was Medal of Honor or GoldenEye, where I was just like, yeah, but Mom, you're killing Nazis. You know, you're killing bad guys, and so, like, that was kind of the end of it. She didn't really give too much of a shit about it. And eventually, she started to sense that, like, games were actually kind of a meaningful pastime for me. And, you know, obviously now, we don't talk a whole lot, but she's perfectly fine with all of that. You know, she doesn't really think that it's that poisonous.
Yeah, I think one.
Did you?
I had a couple. I think one for me was, like, I remember when Pokemon was big. My mom, like, she didn't like that it was about evolution.
Yeah, I dated a gal whose mom hated Pokemon because I think at one point in time their eyes turned red, and she's like, that's how you know the devil's in them. Which I think is, dude, it's just like these like really evangelical, like Baptist Christian types. It's so funny because it is genuinely like talking to, like, a primitive mind, where they're like, they genuinely think that, like, red eyes on a cartoon character means that the actual devil is inside of them. It's just a fascinating world to live inside that mind.
Yeah, and my mom was kind of funny about that, too, because she was like, she would repeat the stuff that she saw on the radio or on Christian TV, but if she experienced the thing herself and liked it, she would go against it. Like, at first, she didn't want us reading Harry Potter because it was about, she'd heard it was anti-Christian, and then she listened to the audiobooks because she worked overnight at an office job, and she was like, oh, these are actually fine books, go right ahead. Or another one was like, I wanted to play Resident Evil Remake on GameCube, it was rated M, and she's like, no, you can't play M-rated games till you're 17. And then she saw the Resident Evil movie with Milla Jovovich and liked it. It was like, okay, you can play that game. Like, it was kind of like, as long as I could get her to like it, it was cool, basically.
Fascinating that your mom was, like, as restrictive as she was, but then went out of her way to listen to the Harry Potter audiobook. And then, I mean, that's one thing, because, like, moms are into fantasy. That makes sense. But she went out of her way to see, like, an action horror movie and liked it?
She likes horror movies and action movies, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, one of my mom's favorite movies was Frailty, and I was always just like, maybe I should be concerned that my mom really likes this movie about, like, parents killing people for God.
Yeah. I mean, get her into The Binding of Isaac, you know? There's a through line there. Yeah, that's fascinating. Yeah, I mean, I remember that my mom was pretty chill about a lot of that. But I also wasn't into, I mean, like, Silent Hill, yeah. But I guess I wasn't into, like, the really edgy, violent games, you know? Like, The Suffering was probably the most, like, obnoxiously edgy game that I got into. But, like, I never had any interest in Grand Theft Auto. And, like, I remember playing Vice City at a friend's house and being like, this is it? Like, this is the game that people are, like, going crazy over. It's like you can run around and, like, shoot random little characters, but, like, even then I remember watching it and just being like, it's just like I can so tell that these are just a whole bunch of, like, soulless NPCs that are being thrown at me, and then, like, there's tanks and stuff. It just didn't do anything for me at all, because, like, they bit off so much more than they could chew by trying to make a game that is like this huge open world where you can go and do anything, when it's like, well, you can fly a helicopter around the map and you can shoot a rocket launcher, but, like, none of the buildings get destroyed. There's no lasting damage. There's no, like, impact from your actions. It's just like a shooting gallery. It didn't really do anything for me at all. But I don't know. That's what happens when you make a game with that kind of scope. Is like you there's no way that you're going to be able to make all of that work. But yeah, that's my extent of it. But I'm looking at a list here of Jack Thompson, the anti-video game lawyer, a list of his open letters.
Yeah, there's actually a website, jackthompson.org, which is down but still in the Internet Archive, where they, after he was, during the process of his disbarment, they went out of their way to collect all the documents about him they could. Like, there's legal documents in there, his open letters, quotes. Like, if you want to see a whole bunch of Jack Thompson, jackthompson.org, the archive is linked in the show documents. And this is his compilation of his many open letters that he's written.
So, wait, this is a website that he runs?
No, this was an anti-Jack Thompson website. This was like someone bought the jackthompson.org domain and kind of like, yeah, it's great.
Oof. Yeah, I mean, imagine if winslowdomain.org was an anti-Winslow domain website. That would suck.
And don't fuck with gamers.
Don't do it, listeners. Yeah, don't fuck with gamers. Yeah, I'm very curious to find out about how he was disbarred, because I do want to see this man take one on the nose. But okay, so we have a list of open letters that he wrote. A letter to Senator Joe Lieberman. Good luck with that. Letter to Dean Walsh 2. Letter to Dean Walsh 1. A modest video game proposal. The Warriors to be released by Take-Two. Debate, Doug, Debate, which I like to think is about the Nickelodeon super hit Doug, featuring Doug Funny. Doug in the show Doug names his garage band Doug's Garage Band. Shut up, man. Come on. That's so arrogant. That's way too much. Yeah, he's mad about, okay, so he's mad about Leisure Suit Larry. Fine. God of War, pretty violent game. Yeah. Killer 7, don't know anything about it. The Sims 2 and porn, which is like, I know that he's using hacks to move the shower out of the way so you can see the tiny pixelated like shapeless Barbie doll body from Sims 1. And yeah, now he's, oh god, raw sex now found on millions of Sony PlayStation 2 copies of GTA. Again, when you hear people like this talk about porn, your mind pictures people fucking on camera. That's not what it is. What's actually going on is like pixels are being like bonked into each other, and they're truly pulling their hairs out because of how graphic and damaging it is to see these sprites bonking in a lewd fashion. Jesus Christ. Yeah, because this is about the hot coffee mod that like it wasn't even they weren't even nude, were they?
No, you had to mod it more to add nude figures in there. It was just the mini game itself was still in the code, and you could have like these clothed figures like pumping and grinding against each other if you modified the game.
Jesus Christ. Yeah. Yeah, if you modified the game, which is just like, I bought a book and I wrote poppycock in it, and now the book is profane. It's like, no, you changed the game. That's not what we sold. You know, there's a reason why you had to mod it to get to it, you know? Jesus Christ. What a dork.
It's like, that's kind of what this is, yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah. And number 4 on that list is what we're going to be talking about today, a modest video game proposal. And if you've ever studied English literature at any point in your life, I don't need to explain what a modest proposal is to you. It's like one of the foundational pieces of satire in English literature. But yeah, it's just basically, it's like an old thing where the idea is, it was like, I can't remember the exact time, but it was like there was, you know, they're like, people in Ireland are having a hard time. They're starving. They're poor. They should sell their children to the rich as a supply, as a like a fancy supply of food to fund their lifestyle. It's basically like this very biting, cruel satire about people's indifference to the suffering of their countrymen. Like great piece. There's a reason why they teach it. It's a very good illustration of what satire is and how you could say something outrageous without meaning it and have a greater point behind it.
Right. Unless you offend me, in which case, oh boy, you meant every word. But yeah, I'm curious to find out what exactly this dipshit's proposal is.
Yeah, and so I have the complete text of his open letter. He sent this to the press and directly to Doug Lowenstein, the head of the Entertainment Software Association. So I can read through this here. He says, "Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. The golden rule. This writer has been saying for 7 years that violent video games can be, quote, murder simulators that incite as well as train some obsessive teen players to be violent. I've been on 60 Minutes and in Reader's Digest this year. The lofty heights of being published in Reader's Digest.
Oh, man. Yeah. I've had my phone number written in many bathroom stalls. Yeah.
You ever read Humor in a Uniform? I met it. Yeah. It's a Reader's Digest this year explaining how an Alabama teen with no criminal record shot 2 policemen and a dispatcher in their heads and fled in a police car, a scenario he rehearsed for hundreds of hours on Take-Two/Rockstar's Grand Theft Auto video games. I have sat with boys in jail cells, their lives over because of murder convictions, after they, with no history of violence, have killed innocents while in a dreamlike state. Said one cop who investigated such a murder in Grand Rapids, Michigan, the killing was like an extension of the game. The video game industry, through its lawyers, its spokesman, and its head lobbyist Doug Lowenstein, the president of the Entertainment Software Association, all say it is utter nonsense to suggest that what is dumped into a kid's head hour after hour, day after day, year after year could possibly have behavioral consequences. Cigarette ads can persuade kids to smoke, but interactive simulators in which those same kids punch, hack, bludgeon, and maim affect not a whit of their attitudes or behaviors, notwithstanding the findings of the American Psychological Association published in August 2005. He doesn't tell us what those findings are, but we'll take it as his word there.
Yes, of course.
The video game industry says sticks and stones can break my bones, but games can never hurt me. Fine. I have a modest proposal for the video game industry. I'll write a check for $10,000 to the favorite charity of Take-Two Interactive Software Incorporated's chairman, Paul Ebeler. A man Bernard Goldberg ranks as number 43 in his book, 100 People Who Are Screwing Up America. And that made me curious. And other people on this book include Barbara Streisand and Courtney Love, as well as a bunch of rappers. It's a dumb right-wing culture war book. You know, this is the middle of the Iraq War. None of the architects of that are in there at all.
Yeah, I should make a book of the 300 million people who are screwing up America, and it's just a list of all Americans. Just every single one of them. Fuck them. It's really long. Yeah.
Yeah, he goes, so if any video game company will create, manufacture, distribute, and sell a video game in 2006 like the following. And he goes on to describe his proposed game. Osaki Kim is the father of a high school boy beaten to death with a baseball bat by a 14-year-old gamer. The killer obsessively played a violent video game in which one of the favored ways of killing is with a bat. The opening scene, before the interactive gameplay begins, is the Los Angeles courtroom in which the killer is sentenced only to life in prison after the judge and the jury have heard experts explain the connection between the game and the murder. Osaki Kim, OK, exits the courtroom swearing revenge upon the video game industry whom he is convinced contributed to his son's murder. Vengeance is mine, I will repay, he says, and boy, is OK not kidding. OK has provided in his virtual reality playpen a panoply of weapons, machetes, Uzis, revolvers, shotguns, sniper rifles, Molotov cocktails, you name it, even baseball bats, especially baseball bats. OK first hops a plane from LAX to New York to reach the Long Island home of the CEO of the company, Take This, that made the murder simulator on which his son's killer trained. OK gets justice by taking out this female CEO whose name is Paula Evil, along with her husband and kids. An eye for an eye, says OK as he urinates on the severed brain stems of the Evil family victims.
Jesus.
Just as you do on the decapitated cops in the real video game Postal 2. OK then works his way methodically back to LA by car, but on his way he makes a stop at the Philadelphia law firm of Blank Stare and goes floor by floor to wipe out the lawyers who protect Take This in its wrongful death lawsuits. So sue me, OK spits, with singer Jackson Brown's 1980s hit Lawyers in Love blaring. With the FBI now after him, OK keeps moving westward, shooting up high-tech video arcades called GameWorks. Game over, OK laughs. Of course, OK makes the obligatory runs to virtual versions of brick-and-mortar retailers Best Buy, Circuit City, Target, and Walmart to steal supplies and bludgeon store managers and cash register clerks. You should have checked kids' IDs, he says. OK pushes on to Los Angeles. He must get there by May 10th, 2006. That is the beginning of E3, the Electronic Entertainment Expo, the Super Bowl of the video game industry. OK must get to E3 and massacre all video game industry execs with one final, monstrously delicious rampage. How about it, video game industry? I've got the check and you've got the tech. It's all fantasy, right? No harm can come from such a game, right? Go ahead, video game moguls. Target yourself as you target others. I dare you. Jack Thompson is a Miami lawyer who has for 18 years been involved in efforts to stop the marketing of adult entertainment to minors. So yeah, that is the complete text of his modest video game proposal.
Oh, man. It's, boy, howdy, that's a lot. It gets a little much. there's some funny stuff in there. Like you can tell that he was having a bit of fun with it, obviously. But I don't know, man. This reads like Anita Sarkeesian explaining what you do in Hitman, where she's like, you get extra points if you kill the strippers. And it's like, oh my God, Anita, no, what are you doing? Because like, if he just stopped like a few paragraphs earlier, or just condensed that second half, it would be like, I don't know, people would actually be like, all right, cool. That's an interesting idea for a game. Let's have a guy who's like hell-bent on killing gamers. That would actually be kind of interesting and an interesting satire. But he gets really specific with it, that I imagine is going to be his way of getting out of giving people money when they eventually do this exact thing. But I don't know. He does seem like a nerd, but I do remember this time of people talking about E3, which was like the evil entertainment expo. That's why they call it E3. You know, and also like him attacking the cash register clerks. It's just like, Jesus Christ, man. His whole thing, like he starts off by saying an eye for an eye, and then he kills dozens and dozens and dozens of people. That's way too many eyes, man. You lost one boy. You get to kill one boy. That's a little much. All I'm gonna say.
It really is, yeah. It's just like I like the idea of like him putting his hair down and putting out something that is way more unhinged than most of the things that he's been attacking is pretty funny. Like in the abstract, like it's very hypocritical.
Yeah,
but,
like this.
I see why this got such a response.
That open letter is making me wanna fucking fight someone. It's the open letter is making me violent, man. You know, like you're putting out violent media. This is you made an open letter talking about pissing on brain stems. You don't get to talk about violent media anymore. Come on. I don't know. Yeah. It's and also the very first target is a female CEO, which I know he's just doing to like wrap around his main target being a man. So it was like, oh, it's actually a gal, so you don't get I can't get sued for that. But it is very funny. Is like this boy killed my boy. The first thing I'm going to do is kill a woman, an unrelated woman who just, because like the CEOs of these companies have almost nothing to do with game development. Most of them don't even play games. They just know about numbers and moving units. Like that's their whole thing. They're not gamers. I'm not saying good thing or bad thing. It's just like, that's just not how any of that shit works.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and also like I do think that this was kind of savvy in the sense that even in 2005, $10,000 was nothing in terms of video game budget. So it's like a pretty safe bet to taunt these companies knowing that they won't actually do it. But luckily, the gamers themselves rose to the occasion, as we will see. So actually, multiple people tried to complete this, and we'll get to look at their entries here.
Yeah, and I'm waiting for how he weasels out of every single one. But here we go.
Oh. You bet it, yeah. So the first was, there was this team of San Andreas modders called the Fighting Hellfish, who released a mod called Defamation of Character, a Jack Thompson murder simulator, the same week that Thompson issued his modest proposal. And this one, it's obviously a pre-existing project they've been working on because it came out the same week, and also it doesn't fit his exact pitch, but it's still relevant and it's funny, and since it's the first one, it's what he ends up reacting to, so I'm going to put it here. And you can kind of see in the gameplay, you play as, we'll read the description, but these are gameplay screenshots. You actually play as Jack Thompson and his hero alter ego, Bandman. So now that you know the Batman stuff, the Bandman stuff is a lot funnier.
Oh, I thought his shirt said bananas. It does say Bandman. Yeah, so it's a crunchy ass screenshot from San Andreas. That does look pretty badass.
And I love this like teenager drawing of like a cool Jack Thompson tearing open his suit to reveal the Bandman logo underneath.
Yeah, sometimes praise can be such an insult. You know what I mean? Okay. That's funny.
Yeah, and the description of the game, they go, since I did the last one, would you like to read this one?
Sure. Okay. Journey into the mind of an attorney as you live one weekend in the life of Jack Thompson in this hilarious psycho thriller satire. Mild-mannered Christian attorney by day, Jack Thompson moonlights as Bandman, a homicidal hero who cuts through immorality and bureaucratic laws with an automatic rifle. Utilizing his Schwarzenegger-sized personal arsenal and his trusty bandwagon, Bandman fights the evil video game industry, while Jack Thompson spends his days tracking down a crazed killer gamer. Experience an all-new mind-bending story in the GTA San Andreas engine, told through original levels and cutscenes. Chase a few ambulances, hold a press conference, or cruise for information as attorney Jack Thompson. Use superpowers like bullet time and regenerating armor to battle it out with Jack's longtime personal nemeses, Janet Reno and Doug Lowenstein. Learn more about Jack through in-game dialogue full of real Jack Thompson quotes. That's fucking great, man. I mean, I know that it was just like a mod of a mod, but that sounds fun.
Yeah, I watched a playthrough on YouTube. It's about 20 minutes. And because it's a mod, like they use some pretty creative scripting with it. Like you do have superpowers. There's like stuff that's not in the main game. And yeah, like it's like he's an ambulance chasing lawyer. There's actual quotes. And like the plot of the game is that the game Bully is about to come out. So Bandman is going around blowing up the delivery trucks and trying to stop. Well, Jack Thompson tries to use law to stop it. And even has like little interactive dialogue bits. Like he's in front of a courthouse and the options are make a play for the violence or try the sex angle. Like this is a pretty impressive piece of modding considering San Andreas was only like a year old at that time too. Yeah, God, just what an ugly game. I know they're doing the best with what they have, but just like what a goofy looking game. I'm so glad I'm a PC gamer because I look at the UI for a lot of these console games, especially from this era, and it's just like hideous. But this San Andreas, you can tell that it's a little bit modded, but it doesn't look like that crazy. Yeah. And that one, so that one is the first one. That's what we're going to, when we talk about his reaction later, this is what his reaction to. But I think the more impressive title is one that came out in February of 2006, about 3 months later. So I'm going to present it here since we're talking about the games. And also because of the people who worked on it, because this is where Derek Yu enters the story. Are you familiar with Derek Yu, the game developer, at all? No, he's got some beautiful hair. Yeah, this is a recent picture of him. It looks really cool. He was one of the biggest figures of the 2000s, like early indie game movement. Like he made the game Aquaria, which was like a very early sort of Metroidvania. His big thing was he made Spelunky in 2008, which is arguably the guy who kicked off people's interest in roguelikes because that was a platformer with randomly generated levels and obstacles. That's made people like, oh yeah, this is like a whole type of game we could be making. It was hugely influential. It's gotten like 3 different versions, a sequel. And then even more recently, in 2024, he was the co-director of UFO 50, which was an indie game that was like 50 brand new 8-bit games assembled like a fake compilation cartridge, complete with like a fictional company history behind each title. Like a very impressive labor of love about a specific time period in gaming. This Derek Yu is an awesome game developer. Yeah, that's dope. I know a bit about UFO 50. I saw Donkey do some coverage of it, and I think it's really cool. What a talent. And also I want to look more into this guy because I'm wondering what he did between 2008 and 2024 because I'm sure he's doing some stuff, but that's cool. Yeah. And he was also the artist for Jack Thompson's dream game. Here's a young Derek Yu in a screenshot of the game that he made that we're going to be talking about. Yeah, it kind of looks like a tiny little Emotion Eric screenshot because he's got like this really exaggerated smile, and it kind of looks like they gave him a little bit of a gap tooth in there. And okay, the art style for this is great because it's just like this fat-faced, teary-eyed man with big lips and white eyes, and it's just okay. So that's not Derek Yu. That's Jack Thompson holding up Derek Yu with a gun. That's Osaki Kim. That's the fictional father of the murdered child who Jack Thompson proposed in his proposal. Also, like one nice thing about Derek Yu doing the art is it's nice to see like a caricature of an Asian man that isn't hateful. Like, yeah, he's like bald and kind of heavy and crying, but like this is a very like lovingly expressed caricature of a middle-aged Asian man. Yes. Yeah. Is Osaki Kim a reference to something? That's the thing that surprised me. I don't think it's not. It's just like, I was like, why did he pick an Asian guy as the main character in his fictional game? Why did he pick an Asian guy? Yeah, okay. Osaki Kim. I looked it up. There's nothing about it, dude. I Google things. No, you're right. Yeah, there's 4 figures pictured here because part of the game is in keeping with Jack Thompson's pitch. Towards the end, you kill the developers of the game. And this is the 4 of them. And each of them is somebody who wound up being varying degrees of successful and noteworthy. So I think Derek Yu is the biggest name. The next one on here is Philip Jones. He's the director of Gaming in Color, a documentary on queer gamers from the 2010s. He did the background art. And also he was, so there's a Gamer X connection for all the bonus listeners out there because Gaming in Color was distributed by Midboss. And he was he worked with them.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's a young Phil Jones. It is very fun seeing these like 20-year-old versions of these people compared to now, like when they were just basically teenagers starting out and putting themselves in these edgy little click team games.
Yeah, and that they're just using these like very basic photos that you would see of them on their MySpace or whatever. Yeah, I don't know. I like the sprite work here. It's fun.
The sprite work is fantastic. I have a little bit more about the game on there. The third collaborator, this one's pretty problematic. It's Alec Holka. He was used collaborator on Aquaria, and he did the sound design in this game. He would go on to be the musician and designer for the hit indie game In Night in the Woods, and then in 2019 he killed himself after rape allegations came to light. So he's a pretty problematic figure. Yeah, I tried to find a picture of him that didn't look sinister. It's really hard.
Yeah. Man, the hair in the second one is really intense. It's very much like a soft fern that's kind of draped over his head. It makes his head look way bigger.
Yeah.
Interesting.
He has like evil Peter Parker and Spider-Man 3 hair in that one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
And then there's a young Alec. We made this whole thing for a laugh, ... And the programmer was Chris Hansen, not that one, who would go on to become a Google search engineer and write programming textbooks. So there's him introducing them with his cool aviator shades.
Yeah. We're the game designers, is what he's saying there. And it looks like the background is on fire.
Yeah, and I found one of his textbooks that he made, Software Design for Flexibility by Chris Hansen and Cheryl J. Sussman. So all these people went on to varying degrees of success, and before they all had made names for themselves, they worked together to make Jack Thompson's proposed game. They called it I'm Okay, a murder simulator. It's a half-hour-long run-and-gun game released under the satirical Thompson Soft label on February 4th, 2006, just under 3 months after the initial proposal. And I have some of the, like, here's the advertising banner. They did like a little Photoshop of an actual guy as OK Kim to promote it.
Yeah.
The Thompson Soft logo, really driving home how edgy this is. The logo is introduced by like a knife carving it in someone's arm. And it's like the Nintendo logo, but it says Thompson Soft.
That's fucking crazy. Yeah, it's just like somebody slitting their wrists. Oh my God.
Yeah, and there's tons of jokes. Like the title screen is a reference to the Mega Man title screen where it pans up to the building, except instead of Mega Man, there's Osaki Kim on it. The caricature of Jack Thompson is way better than the Tim Buckley one. That actually does look like him. It has cutscenes. There's like a 2-minute long opening of like the trial, and it's full of its own jokes. Like the judge is Mario, and the attorneys are like Street Fighter characters. And then Jack Offson, who is the Jack Thompson character, shows up. He's like, you heard the expert. Video games are what caused that 14-year-old boy to kill your son. And so he encourages Osaki Kim to take his vengeance. And there's like 7 levels in this game.
Man, I am really glad that you was making this, the art for this, because if anyone else made some of these images, they would be far beyond canceled. These are really idiots. You're right. It's a caricature of an Asian face, but it is done by an Asian person, so it has some deniability here, but it's very SpongeBob close up when they do these detailed shots of him. Yeah, that's a lot.
And they follow it to the letter, including like there's a mini game at the end of each level where you pee on the brain stems, like Yas4, and the little brains hop around and happy music plays and you run around trying to pee on them. Like, this is a fun game. It's like what if Metal Slug wasn't as well animated, but it was a lot more like focused on what it was like talking about. Like, yeah, and like when you go to Best Buy and shoot everyone up, but they call it Beast Buy. And yeah, to a T, they follow his pitch. He goes through all these places, kills all of them, and then at the end you get a shot of him standing in front of a waving American flag covered in blood while he says, "The American way of life is safe once again." And when the credits roll, designer Jack Thompson. Right at the front, he gets credit for the whole thing.
That's sick, dude. Yeah, the arts. You're very right that the art style is kind of like Metal Slug, just in a different capacity. If they had more time, I'm sure they could really elaborate on it. But like, yeah, the sprite work on this is just superb. Given how much time they had to work on it. Yeah,
for 3 months. This is incredibly. Also, this was made in like Click Team, which game development tools were a lot harder to use back then.
Yes, my God. Yeah. Now they're almost too easy. But okay, so you can still play it.
Yeah, it's on Derek Yu's site right now. If you go to derekyu.com/games, he has a whole section with his old games, and it's right there at the top. And it seems like he's still proud of it, and rightfully so. This is a piece of history, even if its sensibilities are very of the time.
Yeah. you know, it's the only reason that it's offensive is because it took another asshole's offensive ideas and like played it back to him. It's not like Derek Yu is out here thinking about pissing on brain stems. Somebody else told him to do it for money, and so he's doing it to mock them, which I think is perfectly fine.
Yeah. And also, most of Derek Yu's games are pretty non-violent. That's part of why this is so transgressive, is it's like the guy who makes like the game where you're a cute little Indiana Jones chibi running around collecting idols is like making a game where you shoot dogs and people and they explode bloodily. It's pretty intense.
Yeah. It is funny when you see another person's take on a genre that like they don't necessarily belong to, because sometimes it can just be a fucking riot. Sometimes it can be so good, you know?
To go back to 2005, when the Fighting Hellfish approached Thompson about the donation, he said that the donation was a part of the satire. He wasn't actually going to do it. That was his thing. I was just kidding, basically.
Oh, what a fucking piece. That's not the angle that I was expecting. I was expecting a lot more wheedling going on there. But a satirical offer for a donation is just weasel shit, man. What a fucker.
Very, yeah. And so, a rare time I'll say this, you got to hand it to Penny Arcade, because the creators of Penny Arcade stepped up in his stead. You know, they'd made a ton of money off their comic, and they had a vested interest in being the face of gamers when they could. We're going to do an episode about them at some point, so we'll get way more into detail about that. But also, before we get into the news post, good lord, the art in Penny Arcade has gotten really bad over the years. Like, it was kind of functional back in the day, but now everyone is like... He's very John Kay. He's like gotten really into the grotesque exaggerations and like the super cartoony facial expressions. It's very uncomfortable to look at.
Yeah, that's changed a lot. Jesus.
Yeah, like the eyebrow going halfway through his hair. He just makes so many weird stylistic choices now.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you've been doing these same characters for as long as he has, you kind of end up doing that. That's why I don't like to draw the same thing twice.
Yeah, I get that, especially for over 20 years at this point.
Jesus Christ. What is there left to say?
I wouldn't know. I haven't read Penny Arcade in like 20 years at this point.
Yeah, right. God.
Yeah. And so the news post that Tycho makes, and this is how he always posts, he likes to use big words. He goes, Thompson now claims that his repellent suggestion was satire, and we must conclude that this financial offer was also satire, some new breed of satire apparently that I'm sure is just hilarious to people in need. You know what, Jack? We're going to be the men you're not. You said that your insulting, illusory $10,000 would go to the charity of Paul Ebler's choice. We've got a good guess that he'd direct your non-existent largesse towards the Entertainment Software Association Foundation, a body that has raised over $6.7 million over the last 8 years. We've just made the donation you never would and never meant to, $10,000 worth, and we made it in your name. And he includes a picture of the check that they cut, dated October 18th, 2005, $10,000 to the ESA Foundation for Jack Thompson because Jack Thompson won't, in the note section.
Okay, but I do have to ask, what does this foundation actually do? I'm
glad you asked this. I looked this up. The ESA, they're the charitable arm of the video game industry's lobbying group. And at this time, they were really focused on donating to children's charities on behalf of gaming to try and counteract people like Jack Thompson and make the industry look more wholesome to parents. I dug it up their archived website from this time. And yeah, the list of charities that they give to, it's like the Boys and Girls Club, the Juvenile Diabetes Research, WebWise Kids, Youth Vision Challenge, Mothers Against Violence, Students Against Violence Everywhere. Like, they are very much doing these like sort of wholesome children-focused entertainment, which is savvy. If you're donating in the name of like advancing your industry, this is probably one of the biggest PR issues you have right now.
Yeah, and also just like getting kids access to things that are enriching rather than just like TV slop is not a bad idea. So
giving back to your audience somehow.
As far as NGOs go, this doesn't seem like the worst one.
Yeah, it also made me curious what they're like in the modern day. And it's sort of an example of like how the industry's position in society has changed. Now it's more interested in recruiting young people to work for them and making the industry look more diverse. So it's all about scholarships and grants. And they have a lot of quotes from like former recipients and also like professors who work with them talking about how diverse gaming is and like how they feel welcome there and their heritage is respected. Like, especially considering some of the labor issues that have been coming out of the gaming industry, I can kind of see why now they want to focus on like, gaming is a great place to work. You should totally go to college to work for us.
Yeah. No comment on that. There's a reason why I'm an indie game dev, and it's because I have not heard a good story coming out of that industry for a while. So
very much, yeah. And so that was him. So the donation was made in his name. And I think somewhat more important to his actual crusade is that this was the point where his own allies started turning on Jack Thompson. David Walsh, who was the head of the National Institute of Media and the Family, officially disavowed Jack Thompson on October 22nd, 2005, less than 2 weeks after he issued his modest proposal. Like, even the people who agree with him are sick of his shit at this point.
Did he say why? Was it because of the modest proposal?
Well, I've included he has a litany of complaints. I've included an excerpt if you'd like to read it.
Your commentary has included extreme hyperbole, and your tactics have included personally attacking individuals for whom I have a great deal of respect. I believe that respect is essential in all our dealings, including the respect for those with whom we disagree. Some of the people that you have publicly criticized are not only people of integrity, but are people who have worked to improve the lives of children. Even though we have no formal relationship, your use of my name and your inclusion of my name in correspondence have created the impression that we condone these tactics. We do not. The result is that our position and reputation as a research-based, nonpartisan, solution-focused organization has been jeopardized. Consequently, I ask that you cease using the Institute's or my name in any way that would give the impression that we support your efforts. I also ask that you remove the link to our website that appears on your site. Whew! Yeah, that's pretty brutal. That's pretty cutting. I would, if I was Thompson, I would not want to receive that fucking email.
Oh, yeah. But of course, since it's Thompson, he couldn't just take that laying down. He responded with 2 rambling emails, one after another, and he talks like Sephiroth throughout the whole thing. So I just picked out 2 excerpts to sort of give an idea of how he responds. So I am wondering just who, David, these people are whom I have criticized, quote, who have worked to improve the lives of children. Do you have in mind the folks at Best Buy, one of whom you copied with your letter? I know you get money from people connected with these folks, David, but you do know that Best Buy is presently pre-selling to adults and to children the Columbine simulator game Bully. You do know that, right, David? Of course you do. I told you Best Buy was doing that. So is the Target Corporation, whose chairman, Bob Ulrich, you copied with your letter. I am wondering, David, what these men have to do to get on your bad side. Do they actually have to do the physical bullying of kids, as selling a bullying rehearsal trainer to kids is okay? And then another one, he's like, well, you have been giving report cards on a bunch of sociopaths. The violent games have been getting more violent.
Columbine simulator Bully. Okay, my roommate has been playing Bully on and off for the past few months, and I stepped in to see what the game looks like, and there's like word puzzles where you have to like write down a number of words. Like, it is like you're giving kids wedgies. Just like, you can't have conversations with these people. They think that like learning about puberty is literal pornography, and they think that a game where you're like, playing kickball rough is literally a Columbine simulator. It's just, you just can't have conversations with these fuckers. And it also goes to show that these people were stupid assholes for like ages, man. Ages. And they're worse now, but like, fuck. What a loser.
Yeah, and like, since we're talking about Bully, like, Bully is maybe my favorite PS2 game that Rockstar made, because it's like them taking all the stuff they learned and all the tech and making like a smaller, more focused world. Like, every character in there is an actual character. There aren't just generic NPCs at the school. And it's like, yeah, in a way, like, it's part of what makes it so good is that they actually have to restrain themselves. It's T for teens. They can't just do 69 420 dick jokes everywhere. They have to actually like be a little more creative and a little sillier, and also it makes fucking around with stuff kind of more fun too, because it's just very mischievous. Like, one of your items is you get like a bag of marbles, and if you throw on the ground, people slip on it. And a very funny thing you could do is throw a bag of marbles in front of a door and then pull the fire alarm, and everyone tries to evacuate and they just run over the marbles and slip. It's really funny.
It's a Dennis the Menace simulator, not a Columbine simulator.
You literally get a slingshot. Yes.
Yeah, come on, dude. Like he's gonna find out about Stardew Valley and be like, this game encourages growing crops out of season. Like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The anti-Christian, the anti-Christian comic strip figure Calvin, who has been seen pissing on crosses.
Yeah. That's so funny.
Oh god, yeah. And so this is like kind of the beginning of the end for Jack Thompson, because in 2007, he would eventually be disbarred by the Florida bar for inappropriate conduct for, among other things, submitting a sealed brief full of gay porn. That was a real thing he did. He was like just included like as an illustration of like the degeneracy that was being pushed.
Okay. Yeah, that guy went out of his way to buy a whole lot of gay porn, and you know that he had thoughts about it while he was doing it. Not saying that he's gay. I'm just saying that, like, it's a meticulous process to buy enough gay porn to fill an entire suitcase.
Yeah, and you got to get it in, like, legal dimensions. It's way harder than regular porn.
Right, yeah, 11 by 17. That's funny. It also just goes to show, like, for the 10 trillionth time that, like, people need to, like, if you are too high in authority, it melts your brain. Like a Discord moderator or a subreddit moderator, you start to go a little fucking insane because, like, if you have the ability to get away with one little thing, you're gonna just keep pushing it until you get away with a lot of other things. And, like, this is just a guy who, like, was being a psycho little asshole for so long and got away with it. And, like, of course he gets disbarred because he's doing psycho shit that if he had anybody close to him finding out about this that wasn't also a psycho, they would say, yeah, don't submit a sealed brief full of gay porn. That's a bad idea. You're gonna get disbarred. But he doesn't, and so he does. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly, yeah. And also, like, the disbarment process, there's different levels of disbarment you could get. If it was just a regular disbarring, he could reapply after 5 years or 10 years or something. But no, they escalated this. In 2008, he got a permanent disbarment. They investigated 31 accused violations and found that he had done 27 of them. So, like, yeah, this guy had just a laundry list of complaints. And I have the part of the court's declaration here. The court finds that Thompson made false statements of material fact to courts and repeatedly violated a court order, communicated the subject of representation directly with clients of opposing counsel, engaged in prohibited ex parte communications, which is when you privately communicate with the judge when you should be having other representation there, publicized and sent hundreds of pages of vitriolic and disparaging missives, letters, faxes, and press releases to the affected individuals, targeted an individual who was not involved with Thompson in any way, merely due to the position the individual holds in state and national politics, falsely, recklessly, and publicly accused a judge of being amenable to the fixing of cases, and so on. So yeah, this guy's like insulting judges to their faces. He was not long for this world. And this is what he looked like around this time. This is maybe the last time he made headlines for this type of thing.
Oh, yeah. He looks very Florida, you know?
Yeah.
He's got
palm trees in the background, Hawaiian shirt. Yeah.
Yeah. Anywhere else, he would be pale white, but he's got a little bit of a tan here, and he's holding up a copy of Grand Theft Auto 4 to his head. Yeah, that's funny. I am, you know, it goes without saying that this guy's a big fan of Trump. It would be shocking if he was anything on the other side. But yeah, it's like there's 10 trillion of these assholes and there's a whole party of them.
Yeah. And part of why he has this picture is because one of his things he would do is he had like a 10-year-old son and he got older at the time, but he would have his kid go to Best Buy and buy M-rated games, like as a sting, basically. So then he could turn around and be like, the Best Buy needs to fire this store manager because they're not enforcing the policies. Like just being a real Karen about it.
Yeah. Just knock it off. Like, I mean, yes, if the rule says that you shouldn't sell M-rated games to teenagers, fine. But yeah, that it's like don't get mad at the clerk. It's not like you're giving them booze. I don't know. What a dork.
Yeah. And his explanation of this, he goes, the plan was to disbar me so I wouldn't be relevant, and that by and large happened. So like that he even admits, yeah, I'm not relevant anymore.
That's awesome.
It was a terrible experience. You could be a felon in Florida and get your law license, but you can't be Jack Thompson and never get it back. Even if I had an epiphany that everything I did was wrong and that I was a scumbag and that I'm sorry, that doesn't result in any remedy. So he's like, I could apologize, but won't get me what I want, so I'm not gonna.
It's just very funny, the degree of pity that he has, but he's also like, I am no longer relevant. It's like, okay. Yeah, there you go. Okay, well, hold on. This is a fascinating twist at the end of this.
Yeah, his late life, yeah.
He voted for Trump in 2016, had a heart attack in 2020, and is now a registered Democrat who voted for Biden. Fascinating. Does he have any online presence now?
No, he's retired. He doesn't. He basically just golfs, from what he says, and lives with his family in Florida. And yeah, this was from a 2022 article with The Verge, where they were interviewing him, being like, "What's he up to now?" And when he talks about the Trump stuff, this was interesting. He says, it became pretty clear that voting for Trump was a big mistake, he said. Thompson re-registered as a Democrat in 2020 and voted for Joe Biden in the Florida primary. People can change, even Jack Thompson. He says, we've all been affected by Black Lives Matter and what happened in Minneapolis. There's no reason to trust the Republican Party anymore about anything. I think they've completely screwed up by hitching their wagon to Trump. So yeah, like he's a never Trumper, it looks like. Or he voted Trump at first, but then changed his mind. Like, I guess in a way, like he is a principled crank. So I guess it's nice to know that he does have a line somewhere when it comes to the people that are ostensibly on his side.
Fascinating. Yeah, I mean, he was able to like gather these headlines because he was an attorney, and like that carries weight. But now that he's just he's just a nobody, it doesn't really matter. Wow, that's fascinating.
Yeah, he's 74 years old right now and he's retired, so it's pretty unlikely he's going to make headlines again, other than like when he finally passes and we're going to get a bunch of stuff about his legacy.
Yeah, interesting. Well, I wonder what he's plugged into now, but I guess he's just like hanging out and golfing, which is like probably what he should have been doing the whole time.
I gotta say, if you ever want to get into streaming, I think the novelty of that would at least get him some viewers. The anti-video game guy.
Oh God, that would be funny if we could just get him playing video games on Twitch. He could make a modest living doing that, giving his like sardonic commentary where he's like, his arms are folded and he hates it the whole time, but he's actually really good at it. That would be really funny.
Yeah, Jack Thompson playing Hotline Miami.
Yeah, that's well, this is so bad. Funny. Yeah, see, this should be illegal. That's awesome.
That's right. One of my favorite things that Electronic Gaming Monthly ever did was they had Henry Hill, the guy that Goodfellas was based on, come to their magazine and had him watch a bunch of games like Grand Theft Auto and Hitman and sort of comment on them as someone who actually basically lived that life. It was very funny. Like, I'm always in favor of that.
Yeah, I've seen some stuff like that where it's like asking like mafia hitmen like 20 questions after they get out of prison and shit, and he's like, "Yeah, we would never do that. You want to go in through the neck hole, just." Yeah. That's brutal.
And it had a really cute punchline because he ended up really liking Animal Crossing.
He's like, this is nice. I like the guy with the guitar.
But I guess just sort of my thought is that now that we have some distance, I think that Thompson's biggest impact might be making an entire generation of gamers just instantly reject any criticism of our hobby as an attack on our identity. Like, this kind of primed us to respond to anyone who says like, hey, games maybe aren't doing something good, to be like, no, fuck you, you're just another Jack Thompson. Whereas like, I think now we're kind of seeing like, yeah, having that degree of hostility to anyone who criticizes the thing you're into, that's how bad actors sort of wedge themselves into your community.
Yeah, in order to love something, you have to kind of hate it a little bit. You know what I mean? Not necessarily with people, but like with any, like I love games because I hate them a little bit, because I can see all of the flaws that I would like to have things that are done differently. That doesn't mean I'm good at that. Doesn't mean that I'm going to solve all those problems, but I can like recognize the stuff that I do like because I can recognize the stuff that I don't like. And yeah, I don't know. It's just anytime somebody like really self-identifies as a capital G gamer, you just have to like be ready to hear some of the stupidest shit you've ever heard. So allow yourself to be critical of the things that you like. That's all I'm going to say.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's just, especially now we have some distance. It's like he failed pretty objectively. Gaming is like one of the biggest entertainment industries in the world right now, and everyone plays games basically. It's almost kind of quaint now, this time when there was like large numbers of the population who didn't really understand what video games were and just thought they were like a toy for children. So it was a huge surprise when they saw that games like Grand Theft Auto existed. Whereas now, like, the people who grew up playing that are the adults now. And it's like, yeah, we know what video games are. This isn't this freaky new thing. It's what we grew up with.
Yeah. And it's weird to see people like Gen X or our generation who have like you kind of see it with like the overly sensorial, like Tumblr folk who are like really adamant that like you can't have any challenging media ever because depiction equals endorsement. So we still have these types of people. They just show up in different ways, and you just have to have like a different kind of immune system for them. But they're it's all towards the same end,
Yeah. Also, I just remembered, it didn't come up in the notes, but we have a little time here, and it's a pretty funny story. One of Jack Thompson's video game things that actually kind of caused him trouble was the Left Behind books released a video game tie-in in the 2000s. It was a real-time strategy where you played as like the Christians fighting against the Antichrist's forces. And Jack Thompson protested it because it was a real-time strategy game. It was violent. It was like soldiers and stuff. And Jack Thompson's book that he had published about video game violence in his fight, it was by the same publishers as the people who were publishing the Left Behind books. And he wound up eventually having to leave them and not publish his book with them because he was just like, and like the people who wrote Left Behind were like, no, this is a Christian book series. Like, he was picking fights with other Christians at that point. I think that was another good sign that he was starting to kind of start falling out with his allies.
Yeah, I mean, he's just like an aimless attack dog who's just like, Corn cares not from whom the blood flows, just that the blood flows, He is just trying to pick fights wherever he can because he lives in a world of enemies,
Yeah,
that's funny. To go after the Left Behind people, Jesus! But you have bigger fish to fry. I'm me, and I don't even know that they had a game. Yeah, well, that's a what a portrait of a dipshit. Jack Thompson, if you're listening to this, please get on Twitch. We'd love to see you play some games. That'd be really fun. Glad that you're golfing and not doing everything else that you've ever done with your life. But yeah, that's all for us. We have some recs at the end of the episode, but as always, you can find us at iftipod@gmail.com. Send us your ideas for episodes. We'd love to hear you. And iftipod on Twitter, where we post every once in a while about what's going on with the show. And you can find us, you can find me at Winslow Dumain on Twitter, Calculations on Instagram, and winslowdomain.com, where you can get my game, which will make you violent. And if you want to know more about my next game, which is even more violent, you can find it on my Discord, which the link to that is in all of my socials. So find me there. Jay, where can they find you?
I'm Jay Brandstetter on Blue Sky. My link tree is in the show notes, and I'm working on the show right now.
Sounds good. All right, you got a rec for us?
Yeah, I do. I've been playing this game a whole bunch over the past week, and it really surprised me because I'm not normally into car games or driving games. But it's called Roadcraft, and it's by this company where it started out as a tech demo where they had like a real-time terrain deformation thing, and people were so impressed they made actual games out of it. And their first couple were like spin tires and such, where the idea is you're these heavy vehicles, you're navigating like flooded or snowy areas, and it's all about like slow speed, very methodical traversal. And Roadcraft takes all that and basically turns it into a building game. You have all these construction vehicles like dump trucks and bulldozers, and all the terrain is really deformable. Like, you can just dump sand in piles and it will just pile up forever. You can like bulldoze stuff. When you go through the mud, it leaves tire tracks, and like over time, like your convoys can actually mess up roads if you don't pave them. It is incredibly impressive, and it's just a great podcast game because there's not really a story, there's not really a plot. You just get dropped down in these disaster zones, get a bunch of things you can do, like you just wander around. I'm gonna clean up rubble for a half hour while I listen to this podcast. Oh, I need to get this convoy going. I'm gonna pave a road through this forest over the next. It's very fun. It's just like spending an hour keeping your hands and your mind busy while you listen to or watch something. It's a fantastic game, and it's super long. Also, like the vehicles are really weird. Like if they have like those bridge extender vehicles, the type that like unfold into a bridge that other cars can drive over. Like I do not have any affection for vehicles like as a concept, but I drove a Jordan for a while, so I have a little nostalgia for like using those levers to make the hydraulics go up and down. It even imitates that with your mouse. The mouse controls like you click in and shows a little lever, and you can move it up and down or side to side. It is very fun, and you will spend a lot of time like flipping your car over and then driving a crane over to flip it over, and that crane getting flipped over. Like a lot of really funny stuff happens in this game.
That's sick. Yeah, I do like the specificity of games that is coming out that are coming out lately, where it's just like beet farmer simulator, tractor simulator. Just people just like a thing. They just like to do a thing with their hands while they're hanging out, and if you gamify it, it can be fun. That this is neat. I'm playing a very, very different thing, as I recently repicked up Noita. Which,
oh hell yeah!
I don't know if I might have mentioned this one in the past. Noita is another game that it's so stupid that I play because every other part of my life is so like crushing and frustrating that why do I play a game that kicks my ass every single time? I don't know, but Noita is a game where every pixel, it's like a 2D map where you're like digging into a cave full of monsters, but it's all 2D, and every pixel is interactable to the point where, like, if you find a wooden structure, you can light it on fire. You can, if you catch on fire, you can dive in water, and it's all very deformable and explorable, and you have to like dynamite some rocks away to get to the gold behind them and stuff like that. But you also have this like infinitely modular arsenal of wands, each one with different timing and different amounts of capacity and like recharge speed. And then you can attach different spells to them, and all of the spells interact. So you can very quickly go from like a little pea shooter to something that can like transform the shape of a mountain and kill God. All of that to say, you will die very fast and very easily, and often not even because of something that an enemy did. It's just because of what you did, because you were using a spell that you didn't understand. So it's really difficult, but it's fun while you get to the part where you die. So
yeah, it's fantastic, and it's super moddable too. So you can negate some of that difficulty if you want a more relaxed experience, or like you can like do mods. You can make it so you can edit your wand anywhere instead of just like special places. Like it is a game that you can sort of make as hard or as easy as you want, just what they're given. It is such a wonderful little complicated mechanical box.
Yeah, it looks really simple, but it is like fathomlessly complex. Like I've beaten it, and I've beaten it one time. And then I like will see other people playing it, and I'm like, it's just, I don't understand how they got to where they are, where they're just like tunneling through infinitely dense rock. Like the game is like one level, one cave, and then you get teleported to another cave and another. And you would think that that they're all like distinct maps, but it's actually all part of one big map that is being like procedurally generated as you go through. But if you get a ability to like dig through rock really easily, you can go upwards and like return yourself to the level that you were previously, and you can keep going all the way up until you're at the top of the mountain and then go into heaven. Or you can go below the bottom of the game into like another version of the game. Like there's so much shit that I've never even seen. Where like you're in, like, to truly beat the game, you're having to travel through like multiple dimensions. It's just fucking baffling, man. Yeah, it's a good time. It's probably pretty cheap on Steam. Get it if you like it. Give it a shot. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you for listening, and we'll be back next week with even more. And yeah, take care.
Enjoy those murder simulators.
I'm From the Internet is created by Jay Brandstetter and Winslow Domain. Edited by Steve Brown. Music by Steve Isbrook.